Hello, good afternoon. We're going to have a chat about Assetto Corsa Evo Open World. Let's jump into VR. Well, hello and good afternoon. Welcome to the original Assetto Corsa at LA Canyons, and we're going to have a chat about Assetto Corsa Evo, or Evo if you're in the UK, and have a chat about the open world racing that's coming. Now, if you watched the live stream yesterday, you'll know that it's not going to initially be available on the early access release of the game, and they're looking to implement the very first part of the open world next summer, so that I'm guessing next June, July, August, somewhere around there. And initially they're only going to have the first part, the Nürburgring open world access, available. You're not going to be able to drive, what was it, the 4,000 square kilometres, not straight away anyway. And reason I'm in the original Assetto Corsa, doing some open world driving in the Grand Canyon. Is it Grand Canyon, LA Canyons? Or am I mixing the two up there? Anyway, is to just say that I've got a few concerns and a few things I wanted to have a little chat with you guys about. The first thing is open world driving. They have to get the speed right, or the feeling of speed right. If you do not get the feeling of speed correct, it ruins open world driving. Oh, look at that. Please let me explain. On a track, you're pretty much going 9 tenths, 10 tenths all the time. You're racing, you're competing, and you're always going at speed. So the illusion of speed can somewhat be dissolved, you could say, because you're always going fast. You feel like you're going fast. The trouble with going fast, and it's a bit like you've been driving on a motorway in the real world, doing 70-80 miles an hour, and you come off and you go onto an A or B road, and all of a sudden you're doing 30 or 40 miles an hour. Initially it can seem slow as compared to the speed that you were doing, and I honestly find in online racing, in racing games, digital world racing games, not all games have that feeling of speed, especially at low speed. And if that low speed feeling isn't right, it's going to ruin the experience. So what Kunos really need to get right, and I think is what works so well in VR, is the feeling of being quick while you're going slow. I mean, what's our speed? 80 kilometres. What's that? Somewhere around 40. I'm not, my kilometres an hour to miles per hour is not brilliant. I know 100 is 60 miles an hour or 62, but I'm driving relatively slow here, and it doesn't feel like I'm going super slow. I've definitely got the feeling of driving along. Now, in a real car, and you know, if you look out the window as you're driving at speed, things are whizzing past you. Now in VR, I get a perfect well, I say perfect, it's a good representation of that. You know, it looks like that Escort Mark 1 flying past has actually just, you know, drove past us. And it doesn't feel too bad. But when you play on a flat screen, I feel that speed can be somewhat disjointed. Obviously, it depends on the field of view. And I think out the box, Kunos have to get this correct, just so that it doesn't feel like if you're driving at a normal 30, 40, 50 miles an hour that you're going absolutely slow as hell. If it feels like that, everyone's just going to put the foot down to get a feeling of speed, then they're going to be doing unrealistic speeds. Another thing I want to mention is that on racetracks, they're designed to drive. Let me put this in. Oh, let me get in the right gear. There you go. They're designed to drive at a high speed, and they're a smooth surface. They've got some dips and turns, cambers, but they're not like a real road. Real world driving on real roads, they're full of bumps, undulations, different cambers, dips, ruts. The road surface can at times be terrible, sometimes it can be smooth, but driving fast on a real road like you would a racetrack is not possible. And that's why so many people, you know, they go off and buy a supercar, put it in a bloody river, and then Matt Armstrong comes along and buys it and re-engineers it, does it all back up, because I think people have this perception that supercars or fast cars have got unlimited grip, unlimited handling, especially in the modern world of, you know, computerized traction control, stability control, you know, different bloody dynamic suspensions and all that. It gives you a false sense. And as I found many years ago when I had my Ibiza Cupra, it was highly modified. One day I decided I was going to keep up with this motorbike that was having a very spirited drive, and I went down this road that I've been down 1,000 times at normal speed, and as I followed this motorbike I was quite startled that I jumped my car, not far, but the car jumped, and its reason was I was following this motorbike and I'd never been down that road at that speed before. And going at normal speeds, you didn't have the speed to cause any jump or leave the road surface, and it shocked me, and it certainly learnt me as a younger driver that, you know, you've really got to take into account that different suspension setups are going to have different reactions to road surfaces. And, you know, modern performance cars, supercars that have very, or let's just say track focus cars are not the best fast road cars, because the suspension is too stiff. It's very unforgiving, and when you've got a lot of ruts, undulations, bumps, you know, dips, cracks, a stiff suspension will bounce and skip over things like this. And unfortunately, laws of physics will say the minute you override the grip of the tyres, you're in the lap of the gods, you could say. Don't matter how good your driving is, if you've overrode with speed and different surfaces, you've lost control. You're in the lap of the gods. And somewhere like this, if you have an off, you're going off the side of the cliff. Sorry, I've gone off on a bit of a tangent there. So what relevance does this have to open world driving? Well, in open world driving, if it feels slow, people are going to go faster. The faster you go, you're not going to meet the conditions of the road, and then the car's going to become unsettled and you're probably going to crash. Now, the trouble with open world online, everybody's just going to jump, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are just going to jump into the car, drive the car at 9 or 10 tenths to the inch within its life, go at ridiculous speeds on the road, and they're just going to cause crashes, or they're going to crash into you. Now, that's going to piss a lot of people off. Public roads aren't racetracks, and there are a lot of people out there who are probably going to listen to you. I'm like a pot calling the kettle black. You know, I shouldn't. I've done things on the road that I shouldn't have done, but as I've got older, I've got the common sense to know when's appropriate and when's not. And this idea of, you know, absolutely driving ludicrous 3-figure speeds on public roads, you know, especially A and B roads, it's not on. It's really not on. Motorways, with the motorways now and the smart cameras and everything, it's becoming a bit sad. But when you are driving on public roads, every now and again you do get that moment where you can enjoy yourself, and Kunos want people to enjoy themselves in this open world driving, and they don't want to make it restrictive. But Kunos, you've got to get this right. How do you make it enjoyable and fun, but not get people who are just going to ruin it for everybody else? Because I can already see it happening. You're just going to get people jump on, and if it is realistic, you don't want them ruining it for everybody else. So how? Comment down below. How do Kunos do this? Well, you could have police. Obviously, police is not going to be in. Oh, sorry, I'm a bit of a child. Tunnel. So you could have police, but you don't want to be penalised for going a couple of miles an hour over the speed limit. That would spoil the fun. But if there were police in it and you were considerably above the speed limit, or you're driving erratically, or you're driving dangerously, then I do think you should be penalised. Maybe, see, this is the trouble, if you start going down the route of insurance, having to insure your car in the game, that means then you've got to earn money for the insurance. You get into a whole pay. I don't know how you do that. Maybe you could be rewarded for good driving, but what's classed as good driving? If you suddenly decide, right, gonna knock it down 2 pegs and have a bit of fun, and we're gonna start attacking the road. Is that good driving, or is it dangerous driving? At the end of the day, I'm just going to slow things down. People come to racing simulators, and that because A, they can't afford the costs of the real thing, B, they can't afford the dream car they want to drive, and C, you can do stuff in simulators that you wouldn't entertain doing in real life because the fear factor's not there, the consequences aren't there. But unless you've got some sort of system in place to stop people driving like a complete dick, how do you manage that? And that's one of my questions I'm putting out there. Kunos want to hear, they want to know, because obviously when you've got open world and it is for the fun and for the spirit of driving and exploration, you want to be able to have your moments, but you want people to also follow the rules of the road. So certainly AI traffic, even in an online environment, will make the roads busy, so you can't drive round and act every corner as if it's the next hairpin you're taking. You know what I mean? In real world, you'd want to stay on your side of the road, and you wouldn't want to be crossing onto the other side of the road, so we're on a blind corner. So you wouldn't want to be flying around blind corners that you can't see because there could be oncoming traffic. Obviously in the online environment you want other cars and things to be around. It's fun to have little jostles of other cars. Yeah, we've got this Bath coming past us. No, come on, you can do it. I'm letting you go past. There he goes. You know, imagine this is another real world driver. Could be fun, you know, could flash the lights and just pretend to have a little tussle. There's 290 horsepower. And then you can slow back down, do you know what I mean? You don't have to go crazy, you've just gapped him. That's fun, but, you know, driving around like a complete dick isn't. And how are Kunos going to do that? How do they manage this online environment? Please put your thoughts and comments down below, because Kunos are open to ideas, as it's going to be called Assetto Corsa Evo. It's going to ever be evolving and maturing and, you know, moving forward. I'm still looking forward to online, and I just think with the newer graphics, updated cars, it's something to look forward to. I love jumping in VR and driving. That's why I like American Truck Simulator and Euro Truck Simulator, because it's just, you go into you're doing a destination or a mission, and it's something to do. Obviously you've got Forza Horizon, you've got other open world games, but their physics aren't the best. And, you know, you can jump off bloody hills and crash through fences. At that point, for me, I lose interest, because it's completely unrealistic. I think Kunos have said you'll be able to go off-road or go anywhere, but as a car like this, you started to drive it off-road, you're going to ruin it and ruin the suspension. So I hope they put all those sort of physics in. Anyway, it's going to be a while yet, so put your suggestions and ideas forward. Kunos are interested. Obviously nothing at the moment is written in stone, and in open world driving, one of the things I enjoy, just listen to the induction sucking in. turbo flutter, exhaust crackling and bubbling. This is what makes driving fun. And it's all at the moment I'm doing is paying for the electric. Obviously all the equipment and everything else, but that's beside the point. It's not got the real world cost. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Right, I'm rambled enough. Get commenting down below. So Kunos, know, how would you want your real world, open world, online experience to be? And how can you manage it not being a wreckfest? How do they do that? How could they implement a system that prevents people from just being absolute morons?